Right, the time for business. Sandra Afenu is here, and she's here with some good news from GTB Bank.
Yes, after the banking sector cleanup, they had some losses because they took over UT and Capital banks, and that compelled them to seek some support from the central bank. But after that, they finally made some profits. It's
Right,
good
so
news
they're
for
out
them.
of the woods, essentially.
Exactly.
All right, you take it up.
All right. Well, good evening. My name is Sandra Sinamap and I'm here for business as always. GCB Bank has recorded positive growth for 2018-2019 financial year, having suffered some losses from the takeover of UT and Capital banks. The development compelled the bank to seek some 400 million cedi support from the central bank. Here is Ebenezer Sabote's report.
After the takeover of UT and Capital Bank, GCB Bank began an integration process which led to the closure of more than 20 branches of both banks. According to the Deputy MD of GCB Bank, Socrates Afram, this affected performance of the bank, leading to some loss of 1 billion cedis out of a total of about 2.3 billion cedis deposits it took over from the two banks. Taking turns at the facts behind the figure series at the Ghana Stock Exchange, Socrates Afram said the bank has recorded some pickup in deposits and revenue.
Prior to the assumption, we had substantial amount of interbank investments. And so as a bank, because of these heavy withdrawals, we had to even liquidate all our investments in that space, to the point that it got to a stage we needed to even go to the central bank to tell them we are bleeding too much from this process, so we need support. We took 400 million from the central bank at commercial rates for that purpose as well. And so the 2.3 we met, we lost about 1 billion up to December 2017. Subsequently, we've been able to get some money back. We've been able to tap into business of some of the customers that hitherto we didn't have, especially in the area of trade.
Meanwhile, Managing Director of GCB, Ray Sowa, disclosed that the bank is in talks with a private firm to venture into the insurance market.
Insurance penetration in this country is very low. It's not even in double figures. So it presents a real opportunity for an aggressive player to get into the space and do new things. We are looking at things like agric insurance and so on and so forth. That is how India has grown. So you want to take advantage of some of those things and also create an opportunity for people to invest monies in a different way. It shouldn't always be savings and loans, banks, and so on and so forth. People need to be able to invest in insurance, in pensions, and whatever.
The bank is also converting one of its subsidiaries into an investment company, which will help to expand its presence.
The Finance Ministry says it has released almost 1 billion cedis to help with the cleanup of the microfinance and rural bank sectors. Sources say the funds were released earlier this month. Here's a Business Desk report.
We understand the Bank of Ghana will supervise the entire process as the regulator of the sector, but the funds will be directly managed by Consolidated Bank Ghana in terms of payments to the affected depositors. The funds will primarily go to pay off depositors of the microfinance companies that have been affected or struggling to retrieve their funds. Part of the funds will also be used to finance or close down some of the microfinance companies that are struggling to stay in business. It is not clear for now the actual date the process will kickstart, but we understand it would happen soon. In terms of funding for this program, Joy Business is yet to get the fine details, but sources close to the Finance Ministry say they are fast-tracking the process to also make available additional funds for cleanup of the savings and loan sector. Recent data released by the Bank of Ghana showed that 319 microfinance companies are said to be in good standing. We cannot independently establish whether these funds will only go to those who are in good standing or all the microfinance companies. So, if you are one of those who had problems in retrieving your funds, maybe you should be assured that they will soon hit your account, or maybe you have to walk to Consolidated Bank when the process starts to get it back.
Let's do other stories now. Ghana Oil Company Limited, GOIL, has rebranded to GOIL Company Limited. The decision was confirmed following a unanimous vote by shareholders at the company's 50th annual general meeting in Accra.
The Ghana Oil Company Limited has been known as GOIL since its inception in 1960. However, shareholders of the company have voted for a name change from Ghana Oil Company Limited to GOIL Company Limited in accordance with Section 15 of the Companies Act 1963 Act 179. CEO of the company, Patrick Akoli, explains the rationale behind the rebranding.
Ghana Oil Company Limited. It's more or less a sentence. GOIL. What is it? The children, everybody, the rhymes, everybody already knows the company as GOIL. So all that we are saying that this is what the people want. They want to call the thing GOIL. So why don't you give it to them? We are responding to market research. We are responding to the desire of the shareholders. We are responding to changes in the industry. That instead of making a sentence, Ghana Oil Company Limited, and sometimes people even think that we are GNPC. So why don't you come out with our brand? We have a new brand to stand up. So GOIL, good energy, simple.
Mr. Akoli was speaking at the company's 50th annual general meeting, which saw the company increase its dividend by 50% to 4 pesos per share from last year's dividend of 2 pesos per share. It translates into a total amount of over 16 million Ghana cedis. Patrick Akoli also commented on this feat.
We decided to increase the dividends by 50% because if you look at the trend, the stock market is not doing well because people are moving money from the stock market to other money market areas. So what do? You try to increase the appetite of the shareholders, by increasing the dividends. If you increase it, then people will know that, yes, at least they have some payouts, so they will not be too much in a hurry to go and sell their shares. So that is why we have increased it.
Meanwhile, the CEO of GOIL, Patrick Akoli, is set to retire in November and take over as the board chair of the company's subsidiary, Go Energy.
Meanwhile, GOIL says its association with international oil company ExxonMobil as a local partner for the exploration of the Deepwater Cape 3 Points block will come with a $25 million investment within 5 years. ExxonMobil selected GOIL in compliance with Ghana's exploration and production law.
The 5% equity of ExxonMobil, the local content law for petroleum upstream, it says that, the oil explorers must scout for a local partner. ExxonMobil came, they did their due diligence, and they found out that GOIL was capable of partnering them to fulfill that local content law. So we agreed. Luckily, His Excellency the President agreed. Parliament has approved. All that entails is that we are also bearing, because equity is a risk-bearing funding. So we are holding ourselves to 5% of any risk. And then we did all the analysis, and we think that for the next 5 years, the maximum exposure to GOIL will be what? 25 million USD. Assuming oil is not found, that is the likely money to be lost. And we look at the balance sheet, ExxonMobil look at the balance sheet, and they thought that we are capable of carrying that risk. But we are assuring the shareholders that there is a very, very great chance. Oil exploration is always a risky business, but there is a good chance of ExxonMobil striking oil in Ghana. But apart from that, it gives GOIL and GOIL workers and engineers the chance to be trained for the upstream business, because the upstream business is expanding, but the local content, is not being felt. So we, as an indigenous oil marketing company, we thought it's our time to try it, because no risk or no venture, no gain. The training alone, the training that this 5% exposure will give, our people. ExxonMobil will be training them in the agreement, and there will be other international bodies that will be training. Already we started the training. So we think that it's a good decision of the management and the board.
In other news, 50 directors, shareholders of collapsed banks to face trial for the alleged roles leading to the banking sector crisis. We'll tell you more in our local news summaries.
The graphic reports that 50 directors and shareholders of the 7 collapsed banks are expected to face trial over the alleged culpability in the banking crisis. This follows the referral of their dockets to the Attorney General's office after the conclusion of the work of a special team set up to investigate financial crimes in the country.